Yeah, good evening, guys. Welcome back to another episode of our Project Explained. And I'm your guy, Davey. And in today's video, guys, we'll be talking about boreholes. And in specific, we'll be talking about pumps. And we need to know stuff about pumps. And in today's video, I've prepared a 10-point keynote to note of 10 must-know things in all pump installation. So you'll be asking, why do you need to know these things? You need to know these things because when you're sizing a pump, you need to know stuff that should really matter and should really count so that you don't mess it up and so that you have an awesome and you have a good borehole so that can serve you the best. So we're going to start with point number one, and point number one will be sizing your pump correctly. How do you size your pump correctly? So this comes to, you need to have and you need to match your flow rate to your head. So you need to know the exact flow rate that the bowl has from the test pumping, and you need to know the head that you're going to pump to. So when you're designing a pump, make sure you get the correct pump sizing. That is the flow rate that you're going to pump against the head, so that you do not oversize and overpump and do not undersize and waste energy. You waste, as in when the moment you undersize, obviously you know you want to deliver what you need. Yeah, so the effect of undersizing is you not deliver exactly what you're looking for. So make sure you size your pump correctly. And number two, you need to get the correct bowl depth. So why do you need to get the bowl depth and the correct exact? You need to know your static water level, you need to know your pumping water level, and you also need to know the exact bowl depth, so that where you place your pump, you're very sure even if it pumps for 24 hours, your pump is still submerged underwater. That is, you need to place it below your pumping water level. That is the last reading at test pumping. And you may need to make sure where you place it in a plane. What I mean a plane is, you know, boreholes has planes and have slotted casings, so you need to place it depending on how the driller may have left the casing and how the design should have done. Maybe they started from the bottom with a plane, then they went with a screen, then a plane. I need to put in that screen and that plane, so that you do not, why you are not supposed to put it in a screen is you'll be pumping directly in an aquifer or where the water is getting in, so that will reduce filtration of to the pump. Yeah, so or sucking in sand. So always make sure you place it in a plain casing. Yeah, then you need also to note when you're pumping, when you are sizing your pump, or before you install your pump, you need to make sure, which is point number three, you need to use very quality materials. And this does not mean only on the pipes, the cables, but also the pump itself. You need to make sure from your water quality analysis, you know what kind of pump you need to use. There are some pumps that are supposed to be used like no-rail pumps, where you get sandy places, sandy water, and you need to get non-fixed impeller, that is floating impeller, so that to dissipate the silt out of the borehole. And some places, and mostly what you need is a stainless steel pump, so you also need to look into that. So make sure the quality of the material is top notch, from the cable, from the piping, the control panel, everything. Quality matters, so make sure you get quality stuff. Then you also need to get the correct cable size and the correct pump size. Each pump and each depth of a borehole, vis-a-vis with the motor size, you'll know the exact pump and the exact cable to use, and the pump comes with its standard size. So you need to make sure you use the correct pipe. If it's GI, make sure you're using GI where you need to use GI. If it's PVC, you make sure you need to use the correct place where you need to use PVC, because there's some depth that PVC cannot handle. You need to use GI. So you need to make sure you use the correct materials. And also on the cables, make sure you use good cables that will be able to stay submerged underwater and they will be okay. Yes, and the point number 5 should be, you also need to do proper protection of your system, that is electrical protection, that is the control panel. You need to have a very good control panel that has been done by a professional electrician who knows to make sure there is dryland capability in that control panel, to make sure the protection of the motor and the pump is well catered for. So all the components that are supposed to be in a control panel should be there, and that's why you need to engage professionals. Yeah, so make sure your power electrical protection is well catered for with the control panel or the inverter. Then you also need to get the correct pump placement. Yes, I had talked that earlier, but I need to insist on it. You do not place your pump anywhere. You need to place your pump at the bottom of your bowl, but not at the base bottom, somewhere above. And I told you, it all depends with how your driller had left the bowl, that is a bowl design. But in most cases, you find people do a plain casing, a screen, and a plane. So you need to place it up there. And the reason for that is to make sure you do not pump sand and silt from the bottom of the borehole. So make sure you have that. And point number 7 is the water quality testing. So before you install your pump, make sure you have your water quality analysis done, so that you're able to know the kind of water you're going to be pumping out. Is it sandy water? Is it turbid? Does it have iron? Because sometimes when you have water with iron, you get coloration. Also, you get something called iron bacteria. It molds up and maybe clogs the pipes inside the pipes. So pumping will be hard, or it will strain your pumping, because it will reduce the diameter of the pipe once you get iron bacteria. So you need to make sure you have your water quality analysis and you know all the parameters, and those parameters are well taken care of. And again, that's why you need professionals. So do not just do stuff, with professionals. And you also need to get proper sealing of the cables and the joints. Yes, there's something called a splicing kit, or there's something called a cable joint. Is when you buy a motor, it's usually separate from the cable, so you need to merge them together, you need to connect them together. And how do you do that? That practice is called splicing. So that splicing is a special kit that is used, that is purely waterproof, that you usually join with. So it's called a splicing kit. Make sure you use a splicing kit, and you use a good quality one and an expired one, and you make sure you give it time to set, minimum 6 hours. Give it time to set, so that once you submerge it in water, it is safe and it will not corrode, or will not let water get into the connection and have a short circuiting. Because when you have a substandard joint, or you have a bad joint, highly probable you'll get a short circuit, and a short circuit will burn your motor, and burning your motor costs you money. So you need to make sure proper sealing and cable jointing is done, well done. Again, engage professionals. Okay, you also need to have an return valve. When you need a return valve in the pumping line of our bowl pumping system, there's something called water hammer. Water hammer is once you're finished, okay, once the one cycle of pumping is done and the float switch has stopped the pumping, all the water that was on the pipe, because it is vertical, you'll have a negative pressure back coming back to the pump. So all that heavy water coming back will tend to push the pump impellers, and it can even damage them. The pump usually have its own return valve, but it is very important for you as who wants to install a borehole, who wants to install a pump. You need to introduce an return valve in the line. Basically, after, on top, once the water has come up, you put an return valve, so that you avoid that back pressure and back hammering. In some instances, even in deep boreholes, you are forced to put an return valve just immediately at the pump down there. Yeah, so that you make sure you protect the pump. Yes, so make sure you handle that, and you'll be good. And now you need to also get professionals to install your pump. Okay, why do you need professionals to install your pump? All those 9 points, zero down to a professional, so that if you get the right people the right company, they will be able to know all the 10 points that we have come through. They will get your cable joints well. They will make sure they're using the right pump. They will make sure they have set the pump at the right depth. They will make sure they have updated return valve in your system. They will also make sure everything is done, even on the frolit and the head is taken care of. They will make sure they have sized your pump that will serve you right, and it will not be over pumping or under pumping. Yeah, so make sure you engage professionals and maintenance guys so that you have a seamless and a flawless or a seamless system that will serve you right. So guys, that has been 10 points of 10 most and 10 must know things in borehole pump installation. So kindly let me know if they're helpful, and if they are, kindly subscribe to the channel so that you can learn more. And guys, thank you for watching and being part of this family. Really enjoy being part of this community. So guys, we are on the road to 1,000 subs. So if you see this video, kindly please watch, like, and subscribe. And that's what I'll urge you, kindly subscribe. Let's get the numbers rolling up. So guys, thank you and cheers.